Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Women to Women podcast, Adrenals, Weight, Hormones, and Trauma. Today, I'm delighted to have somebody I've interviewed before, and he's been a great teacher for me over the years in regards to Wi-Fi and some of the concerns that we have in regards to Wi-Fi. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He's the founder of the website electricsense.com. You might want to look at that. It's got some great information on it. Creator of the Healing with Vibration Summit, which was incredibly successful, by the way, and the EMF Health Summit, which introduced EMFs to an audience of over 200,000 people. He's a regular speaker at the international online events, podcasts, radio shows, and hosts his own bi-monthly EMF Health podcast. He's the author of 2 ebooks on EMFs, and his latest book is called EMF Practical Guide. So welcome, Lloyd. I'm so excited to hear more of this information. I think a lot of people think you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. So, you know, what is electropollution? What does it even mean? Is it really an issue?
Well, it is an issue, and it's real. And there's a lot of science to support that this is an issue. I mean, the way I know it's real and it's an issue is because it came into my life one day in 2002. I just had a reaction to my cell phone, just totally out the blue. And within a very short time, I could no longer use my cell phone. I couldn't use my computer. I was reacting to the TV, the radio in the car, the corded landline, even corded landline. Yes, nothing wireless even. And that's how sensitive I became. And my life became a living hell. And I went to see my doctor and he knew nothing about this. He was sympathetic. And this put me on basically a 10-year journey to figure all this out. And the upshot of all that was my website, electricsense.com. And that's why I'm talking about this now. So it is very real. And the happy ending is I no longer have that hypersensitivity, or I'm still very sensitive, but I no longer have these very debilitating symptoms, which really just knocked me for 6 totally. And it became very difficult to function. So that's why I know for sure 110% it is very real. And then we've got the science behind this. So what we're talking about is, cell phone, anything wireless. When we say wireless, what we actually mean is radio frequency radiation. So radiation that gives you a clue. Radio frequency microwave radiation. Microwave, that gives you another clue. Yeah, like a microwave oven. Yeah, radiation like Fukushima, so it's a different category. And what our governments and what the cell phone industry and big corporations are trying to make us believe is that this non-ionizing radiation, which all these devices, all this wireless, these smart devices, this Bluetooth, all these rather wonderful devices, very convenient devices, this radiation is safe, and yet what thousands of studies are saying that it's not safe, and there are these adverse biological effects, and that there are these links with very serious diseases, including cancer.
So let's dig a little deeper, if you don't mind, into, what are some of the things that people might notice if they're using this cell phone a lot, and especially if they're using it against their head or they're not using, earphones and things like that. What are we talking about? And how many people does it affect? Is it a big problem? Is it a small problem?
It's a huge problem. Experts are saying 5% of the population have this sensitivity and know about it, and that 35% are experiencing symptoms. But what's the important thing to understand here is that EMFs affect everybody. And it's just that some people can feel it, some people can't. And this is what the science is saying. EMFs affect everybody. And then they're affecting us in different ways, kind of surreptitiously, kind of sneaky ways. And I was lucky because there was this cell phone next to the ear, pain, extreme pain, cell phone away, no pain. So for me, it was very clear, but for many people, it's not. And so a lot of these symptoms are to do with the head, the brain, neurological, the skin. Like one of my symptoms was burning skin, tingling skin. A lot of people are reporting tingling when they're holding their cell phone. A lot of people are reporting tingling, burning skin, burning ear. Tinnitus is another one. Cognitive dysfunction, learning difficulties, memory difficulties, brain fog. Sleep is another huge one, and which that's affected me a lot too. Difficulty sleeping, insomnia, poor quality sleep, eye problems, sensitivity to light. That was another thing that came on just like that out the blue. Headaches, like kind of hangover kind of headaches. That's what it was with me. Just getting up and as if walking around all day, like with a hangover. That's what it felt like. Fatigue, another one. And obviously it kind of goes with the sleep problems and all kinds of weird aches and pains in places which you wouldn't expect them. Like I played tennis with my right arm and I got kind of tennis elbow with my left arm, that kind of thing. Can we say 100% certain that it was that? No, but it's those kind of weird things that people are reporting. So it's really, the thing to understand is it's impacting you at this cellular foundational level. And then that feeds through to these symptoms. And if you're not paying attention to these symptoms, then that can feed through to what I call dis-ease, which eventually at some point is going to feed through to just full-blown disease, all these diseases.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I'm curious about is how, if at all, does it affect women differently? Are women more at risk with these kinds of issues with regards to EMFs?
So what I can do, I've got some research I'd like to share with you, particularly with regard to women, which I think is very eye-opening. So firstly, with regard to EMFs and breast cancer, we've got nearly 70 research, so there's probably more than 70 now, but last time I looked, 70 research studies showing how EMFs can promote breast cancer. And because there's a lot of talk about, and I'm not an expert on this at all, but I know that sort of women are thinking it's hereditary and all this, but only 1 in 10 breast cancers are hereditary, and the Mayo Clinic is citing hormonal, lifestyle, and environmental factors, in fact. And another mechanism is melatonin, because one of the things that EMFs do is they suppress this production of melatonin, which is primarily created by the pineal gland when we sleep. And so we've got this suppression of melatonin, and that can lead to higher levels of estrogen, which is linked to an increased risk of breast cancer. And then we've got all these women, seems to be young women, who are walking around with the cell phone in their bra. Very bad idea. And we've got studies which are showing literally tumors growing where they put the cell phone in their bra. And we've got studies on that, which are also supporting that. And then we've got studies done in a test tube with human breast cancer cells, and putting a cell phone at 10 centimeters away from those breast cancer cells. Then they observed these significant adverse biological effects. And then we've got other research regarding this enzyme alpha amylase, which is a salivary enzyme. And what we've got a study which is showing which measured this enzyme and found that women with the highest levels of the enzyme had a 29% reduced probability of getting pregnant. And then in parallel, we've got other studies which are showing that people who live close to cell phone towers, it's an Australian study, this one, have this higher level of this salivary enzyme. So clearly these exposures, this be it cell tower, be it cell phone, be it Wi-Fi router, for instance, it's the same kind of exposures which can cause this. Got another study, an animal study done on mice, where mobile phone radiation on mobile phone, it was found to impair the female reproductive system. We've not got many studies. Well, it's kind of difficult to study, obviously, on people because, well, for obvious reasons, it's very intrusive kind of studies. And then we've got, so that's all wireless. And then we've got, with regard to magnetic fields, so magnetic fields is what you get off wiring. Or, your house wiring is a source of electric magnetic fields. and dirty electricity. And magnetic field exposures, according to a Kaiser permanent study, found that these exposures can increase the risk of miscarriage threefold. Wow. So that's pretty significant, because these exposures, you know, these are very common for homes to have high magnetic fields. You wouldn't know. Your lights work, everything works correctly, and yet you've got these high magnetic fields and you wouldn't know. So this is kind of indicative of what this EMF problem is, that it's kind of there, and we're surrounded by it. And as you said in your introduction, you know, we can't taste, we can't hear it, we can't sense it. Most people can't sense it, they can't smell it, they can't see it, and yet it's very much there, and our cells can sense it and can feel it and are being impacted by it. And the second thing is that these exposures are cumulative. That's what the science is saying. So that the more you're exposed, you know, it's building. It's like a snowball effect.
So how does, you know, we had a lot of controversy about 5G before it came out, and it just kind of happened anyway. It was 5G towers were just everywhere. It's the new thing, how exciting it is. Phones are going to be faster, you know, your life is going to change overnight. How's that affecting us, Lloyd?
Well, 5G kind of looks good on paper, but when you really look at what 5G is, so it is increased download speeds, increased speed, you know, particularly for everything to do with video, then it's better for that, clearly. But at what cost? And we don't exactly know, but we do have studies on this which are showing how it impacts adversely the skin, the heart, the immune system, notably how it creates oxidative stress and at the cellular level. And that kind of opens the floodgates to a whole load of adverse biological effects and disease further down the line.
And, you know, listeners might be listening and saying, you know, oh my goodness, what do I do? You know, I need my phone. I need it for work. I'm in front of the computer all day long. What am I going to do now? Are there tools that I can use that are going to make a difference to really help me in this regard?
There are, you know, a lot of it is just being educated, is knowing how to use this technology safely. And I have this protocol, which I call the and it's not the it's the and it's U for understand. So understanding all this, that there are these 4 categories of EMF exposures: this radio frequency, microwave radiation, otherwise known as wireless, electric fields, magnetic fields, dirty electricity, understanding about these different frequencies and wavelengths. And then when we've understood that, the second thing is to measure. Really, we can't do anything much here. We're running blind unless we have a means of measuring, and there are meters which inexpensively can give you readings to identify hotspots in your home. And the third thing is to mitigate, and that is that means often turning off whatever it is, if you can. You can't always. Increasing the distance, and last but not least, shielding, which is really kind of last resort stuff, bit technical. Most people won't be going there, but that's how we would look at really any exposure. And I guess the main thing I want to share here, because I know we don't have a lot of time together, is how you would protect yourself from cell phone radiation, because for most people that is perhaps the most significant exposure. And a lot of it is just how you would use your cell phone, putting it onto full airplane mode. And that means really going into the settings and making sure that you're not just selecting airplane mode, but you're actually setting everything to, you know, all the wireless connectivity to off, the Bluetooth, the cellular, and the Wi-Fi, and the GPS, even if you can. So going into the settings, knowing how to do that, and also with regard to you know, how you're using it, not putting it next to your head, because when you put it next to your head, you put it next to your brain, and your brain is of great value to you, and you do not want to, you know, given the science that we have on this, links with brain cancer and tumors, very clear, science, which is now coming out for decades of science on this now, big studies, which are showing that really these dangers are very real. So yeah, distance is your friend with your cell phone, airplane mode, and really only use it in emergencies, certainly for talking, using it on speakerphone, using an air tube headset possibly, so like a wide headset but with an air tube component to it. That's really a great start.
And what about things that you can actually put on your computers or things like your hair dryer? I mean, a lot of people have seen a lot of different appliances. Do they work? And if they do, where can they get them?
Not everything works, so you have to be really careful. And again, it's about understanding this thing. And as a rule of thumb, for instance, there's canopies out there and things which you can buy, but they do work for certain frequencies in certain cases. But for it to be any good, these are high-end solutions. They're expensive generally because they're high tech. And so I wouldn't necessarily, that's not kind of the starting point. Really, the starting point is in terms of your computer, if you can, because many people are working at home now, particularly since the pandemic. And, how many people before were in an office, maybe wired, and now sat at home with a laptop on their lap. So laptop on their lap, magnetic field exposures, radio frequency microwave exposures because you're connected via the Wi-Fi. So that would be the start, is to not use your laptop on your lap, use it on a table. Here I am speaking on a laptop. I've got a table, and use a shield underneath it. You can get these shields. It depends on the distance between you and the laptop, but ideally you'd be wanting a shield. Great investment to buy a laptop shield, and hard wire. Most importantly, hard wire. And that means using an Ethernet connection. Like, people don't even know what that is anymore. Let me see if I can show you. I've got a device here. You can see one end of it. So it's like what fits into there. That is an Ethernet connection. And, so many people don't even know what that is. All they've ever known is wireless. But actually, if you use an Ethernet connection, it's safer, much faster. No, problems with people intercepting your data either. So that's perhaps the most important thing you can do at home. And then, for instance, a hairdryer, with a hair, hair dryers actually give off humongous magnetic fields. Is that a big problem? Well, if you're using that every day, and it's one of those hair dryers where the electric motor is close to your head, then it could be. If you're working in an hair salon, for instance, hair salon, then that could be an issue too. And again, so back to the rules, the distance is your friend. Just having like an extended nozzle on it, that would be one solution for that. And a lot of this is about putting distance, quite simply, between the device and you as best you can. And it's all about trade-offs, and it's all about, how far do you want to take this, and how far you want to take it depends on how well you understand this. And most people don't understand this very well, and understandably, because they're not feeling the symptoms of those. They think, well, I'm okay, I'm sitting pretty, I can use my cell phone all day long and talk to my friends, and it's not affecting me. But it is. That's what the science is telling us.
So when I tell my patients if they have problems and they come in with either weight issues or hormone issues or adrenal issues, is generally it's a combination of many things that have gone on for a long time. The diet they had, the stress they had as a kid, the stress they might have now, the toxins that they're, exposed to. But also, one of the things we need to add then to this is the EMF exposure. So
Absolutely.
it's this plus this plus this, and then we get to this point in which we've got some problems.
Yeah.
So just taking the steps that you suggested, and I just want to review those for people. So getting an Ethernet cable for your house, keeping the cell phone, at a distance, never having it up close to your head, making sure that you have a hair dryer, you add extensions to that. And as women, never use your cell phone in your bra. And for men, in their pockets, close to their, testicles and penis. And also just being aware that you may not be able to see it, smell it, taste it, but it does affect us to some degree, just like, kind of vibration of the microwave and things like that as well. Did I kind of sum that up pretty well? Oh, and the shield for under the computer, not having it on your lap, which everybody's doing these days for sure.
Yeah, those are some quick tips. Obviously, there's many, many more things you can do. And I'm always keen to point out that there is the wireless, because there is a lot of talk about 5G. And it is kind of a good thing in that sense, is that now people are going, oh my God, the 5G and all those small cell towers and the satellites in space. But actually, for most people, the exposures which they really need to deal with are their own exposures in their own homes. Those are the most those are the exposures which are causing the most damage for most people. So we do have so all that is wireless, but then remember we also have the wired. And so again, electric fields, magnetic fields, dirty electricity, and these are big subjects which we don't really have to go the time to go into now, I don't think, but just bear that in mind. And you can get meters to measure this, and it's not that difficult. And you can also get somebody in, an EMF consultant, a building biologist, perhaps, to help you with this. But even so, I do recommend getting the meters, because this is constant. This is an EMF world now. And, EMFs are all around us and always have been, but these man-made EMFs, that's the problem. That's what the science is saying is the problem. And it's just growing out of control. We live in the wireless age, and it's the accumulation of all these different exposures. That's the problem. And the interaction with all these other toxins, as you mentioned. So it's not just about EMFs, it's how EMFs interact very powerfully sometimes with this synergistic effect with other toxins, notably heavy metals, notably viruses, notably parasites. And there is science behind this again.
So it's really kind of almost the thing that kind of tips the scale, if you will, that it might be one more additional thing. Okay. So I recommend for people when they go to bed that they turn off their Wi-Fi in their house if they know where kind of the magic box is, and if they need it in the morning, they can put it back on. And I also recommend they get the computer out of the bedroom, and if they're going to have a cell phone on, they put it in airplane mode and they get it away from them as far as possible, because a lot of people use it for their alarm. Any other suggestions in that regard?
My recommendation is nothing at all electrical in the bedroom, firstly. And that might sound extreme. If you've got the cell phone in there, then at some point you're going to forget to switch that thing off. You're going to forget to put it in airplane mode. And so given what we know about how it suppresses melatonin, and it's when we sleep at night, that's when we heal. It's on a cellular level. That's when we've got this regeneration, rejuvenation, detoxification. We've got all these hormonal processes going on. And EMFs really upset the apple cart with regard to all of that. So you don't want that cell phone in there. You don't want anything electrical in there, preferably. You want to buy a cheap old, well, not old, but cheap new, if you want, alarm clock. Just battery operated alarm clock, preferably nothing metallic, because even if you get everything wireless out, everything EMF out, then anything metallic can act as an antenna, because that's what we are also, by the way, is an antennas right down to our DNA, which is like a fractal antenna. Every organ, every limb, it's all resonating at different frequencies. So that's why we're interacting with these EMFs. And so your bedroom doesn't, ideally nothing metallic, full darkness if possible, obviously quiet if possible, and lots of other stuff like airing it every day, keeping it clean, just obvious, again, because we've got the interaction between the EMFs and all these other toxins. If you've got dust in there, then there'll be an interaction with that. And I call EMFs the mother of all toxins because of this synergistic effect, which is being overlooked. So the bedroom is really the most important place to be thinking about this, to be dealing with this, to, you know, I always say, don't obsess about EMFs, but if you're going to obsess about something, obsess about your bedroom and getting your bedroom as low EMF as possible.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So I know that you're always working on something new. What are you working on right now?
Well, it's semi-new. So what I'm actually working on right now is the EMF Health Summit, which is coming out on the 12th of July, 12th to 18th of July. It's a free online event. I say it's semi-new because it's an event I created in 2018, and I've added in about 10 new interviews. And it's really just, I mean, I tend to be modest. I like modesty in people, but honestly, I just think it's really just the best event on this because we're not trying to scare people. We're just telling the truth. So really top scientists. We've got Dr. Joseph McCullough, Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt. We've got building biologists. We've got ex-CEO of Microsoft Canada, Frank Clegg. We've got top researchers. Really, it is a great lineup. We've got Dr. Buttar. It really is just essential information, I think, in today's age. So 12th to the 18th of July, free online, and yeah, it's my life's work.
Awesome. And if they want to find out more about you and some of the things that you're up to, how do they do that, Lloyd?
So my website is electricsense.com, and really there is a lot of information on there, free information. I do a bi-monthly podcast also, and a free report. And, you know, this is really something you have to sort of work at a little bit. There is a bit of a learning curve. And so that's what my website is designed to do, is to present this information in a friendly, user-friendly form. And yeah, it's so electricsense.com is where to go.
Well, thank you so much. Again, you know, your expertise is just delightful to hear. Not so much because it's wonderful news, but it gives us information about what to do and how to be aggressive in your own life with it. And I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcelle.